So here we are, gosh, week 5 of our monthly theme, a new vision, a new vision. So we've been talking about a new vision all month long, right? First we discussed a new thought, then a new me. Last week we did think back, look ahead. And so here we are today with the energy of change. The energy of change, which if you want a new vision for your life, you have to engage with. You have to engage in the energy of change if your desire is to manifest something new in your life. You know, if you want to demonstrate, if you want to manifest, if you want to actualize change in your life, you have to engage with the energy of change. So before we talk about change, let's talk about energy. Because what we know about energy is it's all around us. It is us. There is no place where it isn't. I mean, all of the energy that ever was or ever will be exists right here and now, right? This is the first law of thermodynamics. Energy can be transformed from one form to another, but it cannot be created nor destroyed. That's it. All the energy that ever was or ever will be is present right here, right now. And it's all in the form of potential energy until we begin to transform it. It's all here now. So for anything to occur, for any change to be made, transformation has to happen. Transformation has to happen. Energy has to shift from one form to another. The energy of the sun, right? The energy of the sun exists as electromagnetic energy hurling through space. It's what the sun does. So this electromagnetic energy hurls itself through space, and some of it lands on Earth. And it is transformed into chemical energy through a process known as photosynthesis, yes? So the plants take it and transform it. Now, humans eat the plants, or humans eat the animals that eat the plants. We're not judging. Either way, that chemical energy finds its way into us. And it is transformed into the energy of work and heat and respiration, right? All of our cells respire. They all exchange gases, CO2 for O2. And all of this I know you already learned by the time you got to high school physics. But the reason I bring it up is that you've been doing it forever. It's just a reminder that we've been doing this forever. We've been doing this since before we were born. We've been changing energy. We've been converting energy from one form to another. It is nothing new to us. The only thing that may be new is the new concept of new thought, which is we can consciously transform our lives. We can consciously transform our lives. We are already immersed in this energy. The energy is already the truth of us. Our bodies are pure energy. Our thoughts are pure energy. We use the energy of transformation to make things happen. We co-create using that very same energy to change our lives, to outpicture different conditions, to think our thoughts, to feel our feelings. It is the same energy we use to sense our environment. You know, I think, therefore I transform energy. That's what we do. That's the only thing we do. We push energy around. We transform it from one type to another. So described in this fashion, all energy is the energy of change. Energy transformation occurs in order for anything to happen in our lives. We're always using energy. We're always converting it from one form to the other. That's all we can do. So we discuss the energy of change at the physical level, right? How we change it into energy. We change it into work. We change it into heat. We change it into respiration. So if we use energy in our bodies, do we not use the same energy in the body of our affairs? It's the same thing. It's no different. There is no difference. When we are embarking on creating a new vision for our lives, we're still using the same energy. We're still using the same energy of change. It's no different. We are using the energy of thought because we know that's where everything begins. Yes? You are sitting here in a religious science center because we know that everything begins in thought. Ernest Holmes said, change your thinking, change your life. So the energy of thought is just as powerful. It's still energy. So we're living a life. We're living a life. And maybe it's not the life of our dreams. Maybe it's just a life. Maybe it's not the ultimate life we're looking for or we're desiring, but it's a life. So we desire something more, yes? We desire something bigger. We desire a greater expression of who we are. We want different conditions in our lives to show up. We want expanded demonstrations. We want more in our lives than maybe we are currently experiencing. We want to be the change that we see in the world, right? We want to be that. So there is this certain something that is whispering to us all the time. There is that still small voice that is always whispering in our ear, always calling to us for the greater to reveal itself. There's always something in life that tells us of a greater demonstration than even the one that we're living right now. And that is that still small voice within us. That is that seed of perfection that is nestled within us that calls us to a greater life, to a greater experience. And isn't that where it all begins? Isn't that where it all begins? That still small voice that speaks to us of a greater yet to be, a greater who we are. And so the energy of change requires choice. The first choice is to actually listen to that still small voice. The first choice is to give it room, to give yourself a few minutes on the meditation cushion, to give yourself a few minutes time out in the busyness of life, to sit and to actually listen to that still small voice, to get clear, to understand it when we hear it, to know who it is when it's speaking to us. So the first thing is to choose to get still. And then the second thing is to choose to listen. And then once we get clarity, the next choice is to choose to do something, to accept the fact that we do want to change. And then we have to demonstrate the change. So there's a lot going on right there. Change requires choice, making one. We have to make one. In order for our life to be different, we have to choose to change, and we have to choose what it is we desire to transform into. And here's the thing, when we make that choice, that infinite field of potential just collapses, doesn't it? We have infinity to choose from. We stand in this field of infinite potential, and when we pick one thing out of that infinite field, everything collapses. That infinite field of potential collapses into that singularity when we choose. Here's what I want. Here's what's next for me. And so all of that potential just falls away, and we have that one thing we've decided on. And the good news is we get to decide again, right? We get to decide again. We have that experience. We manifest that thing. We actualize that decision. Those conditions shift around us, but we get to decide again. We're always free to choose. We are always free to choose once again, and you've got to love that. You know, we're not locked into, oh my God, I made a choice. I have to live this for the rest of my life. Spirit says, no, choose again and choose again and choose again, because it all starts in thought. Everything starts in thought. We are forever choosing, are we? I mean, are we not really? Every moment of every day, if you think about it, you're choosing. Come to church or sleep in this morning, yes? Have breakfast or forego it. Go to the beach. It's a beautiful day. Have the chicken or the fish for lunch. What are we going to have? Every moment we're choosing. Every moment of every day. We are faced with choice, and we choose. Even when we think we're not choosing, we're choosing. Even when we say, oh, no, I can't do that. Yeah, you could. You choose not to. Right? Even when your coworker comes back from a fabulous trip in Hawaii and you say, oh, yeah, well, that's lovely for them, but I can't afford that. Well, sure you could. Sure you could. You could take all your money for the rent and for the mortgage and blow it and go to Hawaii. You choose not to, right? Because having a roof over your head is a little more important than going to Hawaii this month. It's all a choice. It's all a choice. We choose to pay the rent instead of blowing it all in Vegas. That's okay. But still stand in the energy of you've made that choice. And that's an empowering thing. I choose to go to bed early instead of staying up all night long, and then when the alarm rings, hating my life. Oh God, I can't believe it's already happening. We are already choosing. We're always, always, always choosing. And here's the thing about choice. Choice requires sacrifice. There's that S word. There's that, I know, we don't like that one either. But it requires sacrifice. When you choose something, you're giving up all those other things, aren't you? When you choose one thing out of that field of infinite potential, you're giving up, at least for the time being, you're giving up all the other options. That's sacrifice. Ernest Holmes had a practitioner league talk back in 1956, and he said this: the idea surrenders to its own wholeness, and the only surrender the universe can ever demand of us is the lesser to the greater. Isn't that wonderful? That is great news. Every time you surrender to that idea of choice in your life, you're surrendering a lesser to a greater. We're constantly evolving. We're constantly revealing the greater nature of spirit as us. So we sacrifice all the other options, right? We choose one. In this field of infinite potential, we choose one, and so all the others just go away. They all fade away. We sacrifice the other options. And we sacrifice something else, don't we? We sacrifice the one life we're living in order to actualize this greater idea of self. And I think it was Joseph Campbell, right, who said, we must be willing to let go of the life we planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. So that's what we're doing. In addition to sacrificing all the other options, we're also sacrificing the life we're living right now, and that can be scary, yes? That can be a little unnerving, you know. We're going to grab for that brass ring. We're going to idealize that new thing. We're going to make it manifest in our life. We're going to actualize this greater thing in my life. But in order to do that, I have to give up the life I'm living now. And have you ever given up anything that didn't have claw marks in it, really? I mean, honest to God. You know, we just, okay, sort of, maybe, I don't know, but I want to hedge my bet. Yes, I want this greater life, but I'm not really clear that I want to give up what I already have for something greater. But that's what we do each and every time we make that decision. That sacrifice is part of living our greatest life ever. We must give up the life we have in order to actualize, to manifest something greater in our lives. But remember the guarantee Spirit has for us all the time in the background. You can always choose again. Yes? You can always choose again. Spirit has infinite amount of time and patience with us. I just love it. We are free to choose again. Sacrifice, surrender, let go. So we change our thinking, we change our lives. Yes, we change our thinking, we change our lives. That's what we do. Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe, but maybe not. What if we change our minds, we change our thinking, and what if nothing changes at the level of the condition? We've changed our minds about it. Sometimes when we change our thinking, the only shift that occurs at the level of the condition is that we've changed our thought about it. Yes. Sometimes what we do is change our thinking, change our perception of reality. Do our thoughts change reality? Yeah, maybe, sure. Do they do it every single time? No, maybe not. Maybe the only thing that changes is our perception of our reality. Maybe the only thing that shifts is our idea about our condition. Maybe the healing is, this is all perfect and I just didn't see it before. Either way, right? Ernest Holmes said this in that same practitioner talk. He said, we claim as the reality of God everything we like and are very liable to say what we do not like is not like God or not the truth. Well, he goes on to say, we can't do that. Everything is real. Everything is as real as it's supposed to be. Nothing makes itself. Plotinus said that these things, or nature, is not an illusion, but it is indeterminate. It's not an illusion, but it is indeterminate. So I did not project the universe. The universe projects me. But in so doing, it had to make it out of itself. Therefore, my nature and essence is identical with it and the allness. God is not fragmented. that make sense? So here we are an outpicturing of spirit, pure spirit, that's all we are. We may be housed in a body, but that's only temporary. We are pure spirit, and we're having an experience. Spirit saw fit to incarnate itself as us, as biological material in a universe of time and space. But the truth of us is we're just pure spirit. And so here we are having fun, proving the principles, being God-informed, doing all the stuff that we do. We plan, we set our intentions, we engage in the energy of change for a greater expression of our lives so that we can demonstrate more and more of who we truly are. We vision, we pray, we affirm, right? The big three. We vision, we pray, we affirm. Well, we meditate, you can throw that in there too. We use all the tools that are at our disposal to create a bigger, better tomorrow for ourselves. And what do we do at the practical level, right? At the practical level, we seek to be the change. We seek to be the change. We seek to demonstrate a greater idea of who we are. We desire to be better humans than we are. I mean, that's why we're on this path to begin with. We desire to be a greater outpicturing of spirit as us. So there are some practical things that we can do at this level, along with meditation and prayer and affirmation. We engage with the energy of change. We begin to act as if. You've heard that, right? In our classes, I'm sure. You've heard act as if. You know, and that doesn't mean to go out and empty your bank account again, like, you know, don't take the rent money and go to Europe with it. But do those things that are right in front of you to do. Do the small steps. Act as if. We begin to do the things that the person that we desire to become would do. We do those things that we know our higher self are calling us to do. So it's about becoming, right? Becoming from the inside out, becoming that person that we know ourselves to be. So we have to stop doing the littleness and start embracing the bigness of who we are. Start thinking as spirit informed instead of our own isolated little ego selves. And the ego's not a bad thing, but sometimes it keeps us separate. You know, I mean, we do need our individualized identity. That's what our ego is, our individualized identity. So it's not something that needs to be gotten rid of. We just need to allow it to come for the walk with us. And we need to know that we're greater than that. We're greater than the individualized identity because we're pure spirit. We're pure spirit in form having this experience. So one of the practical things that we can do to enlarge and engage in the energy of change in our lives is to break some habits and to make some habits. Do we agree? Hopefully. Or is it only me? I have to give up doing so many things that I really shouldn't be doing, right? I want to engage in the greater sense of self. So that requires I give up some things that I know are keeping me stuck in my smallness. And I want to create new habits that I know are empowering for me, that I can live from a greater sense of self. So how long does it take to make or break a habit? We've all heard it, we've all engaged with it, we've gone to workshops, I'm sure, we've read self-help books, and they all agree it takes 21 days to make or break a habit, yes? Or it takes 30 days, or it takes 20 days, who knows? But there's a definite number. It's out there. We've all heard it. It takes 21 days to make or break a habit. Zig Ziglar said it, and Tony Robbins said it, and Brian Tracy said it, and everybody said it. It takes 21 days to make or break a habit, except it's wrong. It's lovely that they all said that, but it's wrong. It's just not true. Dr. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon back in the 1950s. And he observed some anecdotal evidence when he was discussing things with his patients. And one of the things that he realized was it took his plastic surgery patients about, he said, the minimum 21 days to become accustomed to their new nose or their new facelift or a limb amputation. He just noticed that at the minimum, it took his patients about 21 days to get accustomed to the plastic surgery. Now, he wrote a book about that and other things, and the book was fabulously successful. And he sold, I think, over 30 million copies. Now, that's when the self-help genre took over and reinterpreted this. It takes at least a minimum of 21 days for people to accept their new faces. And they turned it into, it takes 21 days to make or break a habit, folks. Isn't that the good news? It's just not true. It's just not true. So years and years later, we go to Philippa Lally, who is a health psychologist at the University of College London, and she actually wrote and studied this in the European Journal of Social Psychology, and here's what she found out. They wanted to really, really get how long does it take to make or break a habit? So on the average, and she's just speaking averages here, on the average, she said, when a habit becomes automatic, the minimum, she said, is 66 days. 66 days. How long it takes can be widely varied, depending on who we are as people, depending on what it is we're trying to give up, depending on where we come from and the context with which it comes forward. In her study, she actually found the span of time to be anywhere from 18 days to 256 days. So anywhere from 3 weeks to 8 months, 9 months, it takes to make or break a habit. This is the good news. This is the good news, because how many times have you beaten yourself up for not having that new habit be automatic in 21 days, right? Oh, God, I'm a failure. I can't believe I didn't do that. I didn't do that right. It's another thing I can just throw out the window because clearly it didn't work. You bomb out in 2 weeks and you go, but it's supposed to be only, 21 days to make or break a habit. No, it's just not true. So you don't have to beat yourself up about it. You just get right back on the horse. This is wonderful news for us who make their New Year's resolutions and then they're out the window before the month is over, right? We're like, I blew it again. I can't do this. And then you throw out the whole plan. No, anywhere from 66 days to 256 days, it can take a whole year for that new habit to become automatic in our lives. We needn't lose heart. We needn't throw out the program just because we blew it for a couple of days in a row. We get right back on it the next day, get right back on it. It's all right. Ernest Holmes in that same talk said this. He said, we believe in patterns, not plans. A plan is finite. A pattern is infinite. We plan. It, Spirit, responds to our plans at the level of its own patterns. In our minds, at the level to our response to it. Does that make sense? It is much greater than our use of it. And as we expand our consciousness, it expands in response to us. So 21 days is unrealistic, clearly, didn't even exist. It was just a little bit of anecdotal evidence that the human race just went wild with and locked us into. So don't let it get to you. You didn't fail. You just got lousy information. You got lousy intel. This is a good thing. This is a very good thing. If we're going to engage in the energy of change, let's be realistic about the payoff and understand and give ourselves time and love ourselves through this creating of a new habit or extinguishing an old habit. It means we mess up every now and then. It means that we don't do the new habit that we desire. Oh, well, tomorrow's another day. An hour from now is another hour. A minute from now is another minute. So you get right back on it. Building better habits is not an all or nothing game. They're just trends. Hooray. We don't have to beat ourselves up about it. We have the solution. Yay, we're freed from the 21-day thing. Anne Lamott said this. She said, the solution is always spiritual. The solution is always spiritual, and it almost never has anything to do with the problem. Almost never has anything to do with the problem. So we proceed on our spiritual path. We develop a new vision for our lives. We engage in the energy of change to make those fundamental differences in our lives. We alter the conditions around us in our experience, and we choose. We choose by letting go of the alternatives. We sacrifice another path because we choose not to take it. We sacrifice the life we're living for that greater life that we desire. And we forsake the destination addiction. You know that one? I'll be happy when? I'll be happy when I move to the right state. I'll be happy when I buy that condo. I'll be happy when I find Mr. Right, or Mr. Right now, whoever. I'll be happy, after whatever happens. That destination addiction that we have, that our happiness is not found here, but in some future place, in some future location, at some future time. We have to give up thinking that our fulfillment is somehow in the future, because it's right here. And when we commit to that new vision and we walk boldly and confidently toward our future, all the while being fully present in the now, doing what we've committed to do and failing and falling off and getting back onto it and making mistakes and correcting them and getting back into it, we create that future that we desire. Our new vision is ours to manifest. No, it is ours to actualize. To manifest, right, means to make something occur. To actualize means it's actually happening right here and now. So not only are we manifesting, we are actualizing. Our new vision is ours to actualize, to create. And nothing can keep us from actualizing that greater tomorrow except our own mind. Except our own mind. So let's stop letting the little vision get in the way of Spirit's idea for our lives. Spirit has a greater idea for our lives than we can even possibly imagine. That's the new vision. That's the energy of change, and that is the truth of us. Thank you so much.